Okay, welcome everybody. I wanted to get us started again, and let me try to adjust where I'm sitting here because I just got in front of my computer and there we go. So yes, welcome. We are here March 8th meeting to discuss, give an update on the West Price Hill Fast Stop gas station. I'm Mary Lynn Loader with the Metropolitan Sewer District, and I'm joined with Deb Leonard and Eric Evers will help me kind of manage the questions or comments and whatnot. That we have District Chief Ken Caldwell, and I believe that I see Ann Gregg from the Health Department, and Dan Adams is joining right now as well. I see him logging on, and then of course Karen Ball with the West Price Community Council. I understand the Community Council meeting is tomorrow, so this will be the update for the Community Council. And many of you may know we did report out to Deb. Are you responding for Laura? And we're reporting this. We'll put it up on our web page. We did report out to Council Member Smitherman's Committee of Public Safety a couple weeks ago, and I believe that we put that recording, we're not recording, but our slides up on our website. You know, the website again is msgc.org/gas leak. If you'd like to access those. And from that, we did report out. We've had some activity continuing to go on site over the last several weeks. So we're going to give you an update on what activity has continued on. And also MSD did hold our compliance attainment meeting with the gas station as well. What I'll do is I think we'll first kind of recap what different activities have been going on site. So I wanted to have ATC kind of start off with that. If they can kind of give an overview of what's been happening out at the site. And then we can move on to the fire department, and then I can recap just the activities from the compliance attainment meeting, as well as some other investigations that we've been doing on the sewer as well. So Dan, would you like to just give an overview of different activities that have been happening at site?
Since the last meeting, M&M, the construction contractor that's rebuilding the UST system, has basically finished the rebuild, and they were doing final testing on the new product lines and the leak detection system and all the components of the new system the end of last week. We were able to access the one monitoring well that we hadn't been able to access previously. It was under a pile of gravel, and we were able to open that and sample that well last week. During the UST system rebuild, we installed an extraction point right off the end of the southern dispenser, the southeast dispenser island by the gray car there. In the backfill material above the sanitary sewer line. MW3 was the well that we sampled last week, and we were able to survey all the wells to get a groundwater flow direction from those wells. We haven't calculated that yet. That data hasn't been manipulated. We did one extraction event from the observation well a week and a half ago, when all the snow melted and the rain hit. The water level had come up a bit. Mary Lynn, just a little bit southeast of where you're pointing.
Okay.
Up and the road.
Yep.
It's right down by the edge of the pavement. Anyway,
Okay.
and there's been a new manhole set on that observation well, and M&M put a lot of concrete on the manhole itself. So we still need to break that loose and get back into the observation well so we can gauge it again. But my guess is with no rain over the last 2 weeks, that the water level is still down. The last time we gauged that well, there was a trace of product, but it was not significant. And that's about it.
Okay. All right, so let's see. District Chief Caldwell, let me see if I had any follow-ups to Dan. So you've also got new dispensers. The new dispensers have also arrived, and so at this point now, a lot of the concrete has been covered, and you've also installed the vacuum extraction system. Is that correct?
Yes, and he did end up buying all new dispensers. And there was a question in the past meeting about whether they were going to replace the Vita-Root system. I did find out that what they did was actually upgrade the Vita-Root system that was in place. So they've added a bunch of extra modules in that existing Vita-Root system so that they can attach the level sensors that are in the secondary containment on top of the tanks and underneath the dispensers and some other things that Vita-Root system needed to be able to monitor all the new components on that new UST system.
Okay, great. And I saw Sean had his hand up, but I took it down. Did that answer your question, Sean?
Yes, Dan answered the questions. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry to get back to you later, Sean.
That's all right.
Okay. Okay, and why don't we go ahead and get an update from District Chief Caldwell? Could you give an update of the activity that the fire department has been doing over this time?
Sure thing. The fire department has been on site because, as mentioned before, this is permitted work that M&M was doing on site. So we have to be on site to witness all permitted work. And M&M replaced the lines, as Dan mentioned prior. They replaced the lines, pumps, and if you go up there now, it looks like a completely different gas station. So a lot of the work that we witnessed was underground, in which the picture is depicting a lot of those. Well, if you go back to the previous picture, a lot of those components that were circled there is what was replaced, is what the fire department had to witness them replacing. And the other picture that you showed right after this, Mary Lynn, is pretty much on site, them doing the work on site.
Yep.
And then some of this other stuff here is basically the upgrade, the modern versions of what is needed at gas stations now with the, with the double wall, with the lines and the double wall. So they're completely done with the permitted work on the fire department's end of things. And they sent off for test and it passed testing with this, the work that they did, M&M. And they've since sealed the gas station up and completely have sealed over the work that they've done. This is after the testing had been done. And then they ran testing again after they sealed it up, and it passed test again from the fire department standpoint. So now we are waiting currently on Buster to get back with us with their compliance issues. And once Buster gets back with us with their compliance issues, then we will reevaluate the gas station for giving and sending out the operating permit for them to pump fuel. And that's what we're waiting on now.
Okay, so but at this time, they're the fire department does not have a permit and will not be is not acting on any permit yet. And before it does, it will be bringing that information forward to the community once they get that information or request, I guess, from the gas station.
Once they become fully compliant with all regulations, get Buster and local regulations. Then we can come back to the community and let them know they're fully compliant, and then we can send out for the permit for them to operate.
Sean, do you have a question?
Yes. Do we have a time frame on this? Are we looking at a couple weeks, or are we looking at a couple days?
You're looking at, based upon me having a discussion with Buster, possibly a couple of weeks. From what I was understanding from them, it depends on how soon they can get someone down here. I believe the gas station has a few more things to do prior to them coming down to inspect. So you're looking at the beginning of next week, end of next week sometime before they can even get down to inspect. And then they would have to do their paperwork and submit and then send it down to us. So we're looking at it's at least 10 days.
All right. I mean, the reason I asked that is patrons have been telling me that the employees of the gas station are telling them they're going to be fully operational either today or Wednesday. So apparently there's been a miscommunication between somebody.
Yeah, a lot of times when things start to look better at the gas station, and they do, they looks really nice. They put it together well. And when things start to look together, and even talking to one of the clerks, and they assume that it's going to be overnight and it's going to be tomorrow, but it's not. And just I was up there earlier today, and just from looking at it and the process and things that needs to take place and speaking with Buster, we still have a few more things to button up before we can do that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. The next thing I want to do is just kind of give an overview of the compliance attainment meeting. And so let me just actually, I think I can put something up on the screen that would be helpful. Maybe let me just find it. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so let me just share that. And this is, again, I'm just using some slides from the meeting that we had with council. This is like the 3 violations that were issued to the gas station. And I'm going to talk about MSD's violation, because on the same day that we presented to council, we had a compliance attainment meeting. Dan was present at that, as well as the owner of the gas station. And essentially, we did issue this this violation in January, and outlined about 6 or 7 different violations of our sewer use rule in terms of discharge of prohibited substances that is, harmful to our workers, to the public, causing a public nuisance. So we have this compliance attainment meeting in order to understand what happened, what is the owner doing to rectify this, how did it happen, all that good stuff. So the fine that we issued to them was $12,600. And our enforcement response plan, this is something that we have to have as part of the, our obligations under the Clean Water Act, that we have a very rigorous plan and consistent plan that we use for determining compliance and making any kind of enforcement action against anybody that has discharged something illegally or erroneously or whatever to our treatment plants, to our pipes and stuff. And so the enforcement response plan does allow for a supplemental project. So instead of us just, fining him, and which we did, $12,000, an option for the owner to take advantage of is to request that we hold 75% of the fine in abeyance. And then he or she has to demonstrate that they're going to make at least that much of an investment in mitigating and making more improvements to stop this from happening again in the future. So the owner, anybody who kind of is going through an enforcement action with MSD has the ability to do that. So this owner was explained that was something that they could do we still have issued the whole fine to them, but he elected to use the supplemental project to hold 3/4 of the fine in abeyance, and is going to demonstrate to us, and we all know that he's already doing, the additional vacuum extraction process, as well as the secondary containment on the under the dispensers, and also the piping and stuff. So we are allowing him to use instead of paying us some of that money, the 3/4 of it, the $7,500 will go towards the improvements that he is making, but then we still have a fine of over $3,000 that he is responsible for. So I wanted to just update you on that. And then we are still kind of looking at just all of the costs that we incurred for this. And I don't have an update on that yet. But then thirdly, we did get a report from the neighbor, Renee, actually, that lives on the corner of the gas station on Pedretti, behind the gas station on Pedretti. She saw that there seemed to be something in the catch basin on Saturday night. So we did send investigators out there to see what was going on, and it was like a green substance. And after investigating that was actually some dye that MSD did put down the sewer when we were trying to identify where that catch basin went. And because of the cold temperatures, coupled with the fact that there was a lot of mud and muck and stuff in that private catch basin, that dye actually didn't get washed all the way through, and it's kind of stayed there. So we did send crews out on last week to get all of that cleaned out. If there was any concern that was something related to, the gas station or some whatnot, we confirmed that was our dye. That was not antifreeze. It wasn't some other discharge. It was the dye that we had put down there about a week and a half prior. So I just wanted to let you all know about that as well. And at this point, we're continuing to just work collaboratively with the fire department and others, the health department. I know Antonio's here from the health department, and Ann Gregg from the health department. That's all I've got for an update. I see that Laura Hamilton, you got a question?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I saw that there was a question in the chat from Grant Mooney, and it's one that I have as well, about the various people that have been calling in saying they smell gas over the last 2 weeks. There have been some runs down to Mrs. Lehan's on Pedretti, over, I think, to Miss Miner's house over on Carnation. What came of those runs?
Yeah, thank you. And I want to turn to the, I think, is that the fire department? Have you guys been running some runs out there?
Not to my knowledge. I can look those runs up and find out if we've been making runs over there, and if it pertains to the gas station. We've obviously we'll continue to make runs in the neighborhood based upon whatever individuals call for, be it EMS run, a fire. We've had multiple runs over there, so I would have to look up and narrow it down and see if it's attached to the gas leak that's occurred. But
Okay.
for what I've understood, it's just normal runs. But I can do some research behind it and find out.
Okay. And Deb, Deb actually referred us to, or got the referral from Renee on the material that was in the catch basin. Deb, have you been contacted for other calls or complaints of odors?
I have not. No.
Mary Lynn, Renee is actually in here. She is Grant Mooney. I don't know if she wants to speak up, but she's aware of these issues she's saying in the chat as well. Renee, do you want to add anything to what I'm saying here, ma'am?
Okay, so this is Renee. We did have gas fume smell in our house at the end of February. And I know my neighbor, which you just mentioned, Cindy Leanne, Patty down the street, had it as well. On the Citizens app, there was another instance on Pedretti. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but it did say it was a natural gas related call. But in my opinion, it was all around the same time. It probably was just gasoline fumes again. So that's all I have.
Okay, and just to add to what Renee is saying, on the night Mrs. Lehan called, Denise Emmett came home. She's unfortunately not in this meeting. 4474 West 8th. That's directly across the street from the gas station. And it was like 2 a.m. and she went down into her shop to retrieve some dog food and said she smelled it down there, but she didn't call because it was 2 a.m. and in the morning it was gone. So the same night as Mrs. Lehan's run, she was having it as well.
Okay, well, I think, we really want to stress if if anybody is still having any smelling gas, the best thing to do is going to be call the fire department and have them investigate, and District Chief Caldwell can report out on what kind of findings they have or whatnot, and we can maybe even follow up by email or something if there were any runs that we're just not aware of right now.
Mary Lynn, and what we would do, we would like to track that. So we've been doing working with the health department. We've been working with you and MSD and trying to track different addresses or different places where we're having these issues. So it is important that you call and let them know what you're smelling, where you're smelling it at. And then it doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m, we're on standby, ready to go. So it's important for the West Price Hill community to know that the fire department will respond out at any time. And that's important because we don't know what we don't know. So if you don't call us and we don't come out and get a reading, then we can't document that. At least I can go back if I'm not on duty or working. If it's 2 a.m, I can look it up and see what the readings were and document and try to trace and track what's going on. So it's important to go ahead and call at any point in time, because it could be a serious smell. It could be something serious going on, and we would like to document and track that moving forward, and as we have in the past. So just inform everyone in the community that we're still in the community, we're tracking, and then we can even do a follow-up the next morning to ensure that it's clear or it's gone if you call in the night before.
Yeah, and I just like to add to that too, and that is, when we first were setting this up and, we had a lot of people calling in, Deb from MSD was kind of taking, trying to, help get people sampled and stuff. And I think we should absolutely transition now back to the fire department and make that clear for people to, we have a very, very good and capable fire department to be able to respond immediately. And that, I mean, if you guys are still having any issues like that, I think we absolutely need to have the fire department called.
I appreciate that. I have 2 more questions. Do you want me to hold those or?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so while you're on the screen, I might as well ask the one that applies for you possibly.
Sure.
What is the status of the scrubbing of the sewer that was talked about? Is that going to be done? Has it been done?
It is in process. We do need to, we're still doing some investigations on the TVing of the sewer. We were able to get some cameras in the sewer, and we do know that the catch basin that is located right on the property of the gas station, that is actually a private storm drain, and it's connected to both the sewer that runs underneath 727 Pedretti, as well as it goes to the line that runs parallel and on Pedretti. And so we are looking and we'll be putting some new caps on, and like these caps that were leaking groundwater in, we're going to go ahead and replace the leaking caps. And so that is in process, and it should be done within 2 weeks.
Okay, forgive me if I don't understand private storm drain. That term throws me a little bit. So is this part of the gas station? Is it whose private storm drain is it, and why would a storm drain ever be private?
Mary Lynn, I think you're talking to Laura Hamilton,
Correct.
Yes.
not to Renee.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure you know.
And I want to see if I could just quickly pop up a visual because I think it'd be easier. So let me just bear with me here while I try to pull up our visual that will, let's see. Let's see, is that okay? Let's see if I could just get through a minute here. Let's see, okay. All right, and then I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Okay. This. Okay. Okay, so this is, here's the gas station property. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, gas station property here. There's Pedretti here. There's actually a sewer that runs, that starts on the gas station property. And this is a manhole. This orange dot is a manhole. And that is the beginning of that sewer here. And it's a manhole that runs, and then it connects to a sewer line, a 24 or 15 inch, and then it goes to a 24 inch, and it runs up diagonally there, and goes then through, and this is the one that goes towards Carnation. And just like about where my cursor is a storm grate, and that's it's essentially, because this is identified as a sanitary sewer. So I generally, this is does not receive stormwater. However, it does probably have some downspouts connected because this is a combined sewer area. But on the gas station, it starts on the gas station property. And what I don't have identified on this map, so this isn't a great map to show for this, but there is a storm grate. So that essentially looks like, a piece of metal, and it's got a grate, and it allows stormwater to drop into it. So that is a private storm grate that is connected to the sewer right here. And so that's that stormwater grate is a private asset. It is not MSD's asset. It's a private asset that's storm grate that's connected to the public sewer.
So are you allowed to do that? Just connect a storm drain on your driveway or whatever to the public sewer? That's permissible?
It's an old, it is a connection that's been there for some time. And Dan, did you investigate it also, being that it was part of the gas, it's on gas station property, and it's owned by the gas station, and it was done some time ago, and it is permissible.
Okay.
It is connected. And so what we found is it's actually connected here, but then it also, and this is the lower part, there's actually two outlets for it as well. The lower part outlet goes to this sewer, and then there's a higher outlet, and that connects to this line. This what we thought was an abandoned line is actually connected to that storm. So this is there's a private storm drain, and it goes this way through this. This is a private lateral going into the combined, but then it also has a lower outlet, and it's connected to this one also.
Okay. All right. Well, that helps. That answers that. Thank you so much.
You're
and then my
welcome.
last question was regarding the dispensers. It was mentioned that they've replaced the dispensers, and I've seen that they have replaced those. And this might sound like a ridiculous question, but I am really curious, and you should never not ask. So it's mentioned that they're replacing the dispensers. My questions are, was there any reason? Was there something wrong with the old dispensers? And are the ones that I see down there actually brand new? And I only ask that because they look dated compared to what I see in other gas stations. It doesn't matter what the answer is. I just want to know, just for knowledge, in case there's ever a future issue.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Dan know, or does District Chief Caldwell know?
My understanding is those dispensers were installed last year, brand new, at a store that ended up going out of business because of COVID. So he got a deal on those dispensers, but they're less than a year old.
Okay, and was there something wrong with his old dispensers that caused him to make that decision?
No, he just wanted to, up, if he's upgrading everything else, he just wanted to get new stuff there as well.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. I think, Sean, do you have a question? Do you want to ask your question?
Oh, I was just going to ask Dan if he could email me what modules, additional modules they added to their 350 Vita root system. I was kind of hoping they were actually going to upgrade to the newest 400 system because it's essentially idiot proof. The current system they have, the 350, you can still turn off alarms, etc. Although with it being existing there, they probably have an easier time training the current employees. I just wanted to know what additional modules, and if you could email me those module numbers so I can take a look. I'd appreciate it. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm in
don't
my
have-
geek mode.
Sean, I don't have that information. I'd have the M&M, the contractors doing that, so I'd have to get that from them.
If you could, I'd appreciate it. And if you don't have my email address, send it to Mary Lynn or Deb, because they know how to get a hold of me. I'd be greatly appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, I want to just maybe put this thing up, and Dan actually shared this with us, and it is the this operation and maintenance manual that is available to gas station owners and underground storage tank owners. It's kind of written for gas stations to help them understand what they need to do, how they need to operate it, who they need to contact. And I want to just put it out there. I think we may have even put this out on our website too, just so that, if anybody has some extra time, you want to kind of acclimate yourself with what's all entailed in operating and maintaining an underground storage tank system, there's information out there. But Dan, I wanted to just, since you provided this as a resource, what kind of, maybe you can just talk a little bit about what the owner is doing to try to maybe just re-up his game, if you will, of understanding these resources, and is this something that he is kind of getting advised by you or M&M, or the fire department in terms of what this manual is and how it could be helpful for him?
Yeah, this was put together in 2017 when they changed. They did a 5-year rule review, and the federal EPA folks put some mandates out that the gas station owners need to kind of tighten up what they're doing. And so in 2017, they started requiring monthly site inspections. And those entail, filling out a checklist once a month by a competent person that the system is operating properly, the spill buckets are not leaking, the fill ports are in good shape, just checking pretty routine things across the site on a monthly basis. It updated the annual leak detection requirements. You have to come in every year and tightness test the product piping in the tanks and document that and do a number of things. Every 3 years, you have to test the secondary containment on both under the dispensers and on top of the tanks. Make sure all the sump sensors are working, so that if fluid gets in those sumps, it sends off an alarm. It's pretty comprehensive, and it's really well done. There's a guy named Jason Anthony at Buster that put this together.
And these are, so just clarify, is this guidance or is these requirements, these checklists and stuff like that?
They're requirements.
Okay, so these are records that the fire department, or I'm sorry, that the gas station should be able to demonstrate that they have all of these things, correct?
Correct.
And is that something that that M&M or Buster or you are working with a gas station owner to, just, make sure that they have this information? I'm just curious, how is the owner kind of receiving this information?
I'm gonna get the owner up to speed, and I have somebody on staff that can actually do all this for him.
Mhm. Okay, do this for him in terms of what?
The inspections and the record keeping and everything else.
Okay, is that something, a contract that you're going to have with the gas station to do that for them?
If he decides to pick me, but they're
Okay.
do this, yeah.
Okay, and they have to have somebody independent of themselves do this?
Not for the monthlies,
Okay,
but you have to have a certification to own and operate that system. And it's, I don't know all the designations. It's like a level 1 and a level 2 operator. So they have to have people on site that are trained.
Mhm.
And those people can do it. But there are some companies that like to have somebody else come in and do it for them.
Yeah, and this was required even with his old system, right?
Yes,
Okay. Sean, you got a question?
2017.
These are actually, it's more a comment. This has been out for quite a while. What's happening is when somebody new buys a service station who's never owned one before, they're unaware of this, the stuff that's out there, and it's not automatically given to them when they buy a service station. There's also, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen when you buy a service station. EPA has to, certify it, et cetera, but nobody gives them this, so they were unaware of it. So they were also unaware of the reporting requirements, and this is why all 3 of his locations were in violation. And like Dan says, there are multiple companies out there that can go in and do their monthlies, but there's no education to new service station owners. There was no education to this owner that they could not disconnect their Veeder-Root system, yet it was disconnected and offline in October. So, and it's not something that we can control. This is a Buster issue. But this is happening not just with this particular owner, with any new owner, and this can become a huge problem, as we see here. We had this major gas leak because nobody really knew how the system works. There's no training, and we have to be better about educating people who are buying service stations. So, like I said, sorry, it was more of a comment than a question.
I just want to, I put up something else on the screen. This is a motion that was passed by several council members last week. Who all passed it, came out of Member Smitherman's committee. And it is essentially, recognizing the fact that this situation happened at the gas station, loss of gasoline, that the sewer lines were impacted, affecting the residents, and essentially really, saying we believe that other aging gas stations, many in lower income neighborhoods, may also have aging tanks or systems, which put citizens at risk. And they move that administration put together a report regarding the leak and all the efforts to remediate it. And additionally, the report would provide concise information for affected residents regarding claims and that they make to MSD for compensation related to the leak. And this is referring to the information that we had posted on our website, or have posted on our website, about how to file a claim, as well as outline the various state and local agencies and jurisdictions over the matter, and all efforts which are being undertaken to address the negligence which led to the incident. And they move that the administration work on with all applicable state, local, federal agencies to compile a list of aging gas stations in the city limits. And we'll take that to mean also within MSD's service area as well, which may represent a similar risk to city residents. So that is something that we are beginning to work on already, that too, because, this is one gas station and, but we're working, with the fire department, with Buster, with all the other different agencies, and we'll be compiling this. It is due in May, I think sometime in May, middle of May or so. And so we are working on that. There's a second page to this. Let me just see if I could scroll down. That's just kind of summarizing what the issue was, of course, disrupting the holidays and whatnot. So I wanted to mention that because I think that's kind of along the lines of the O&M manual. And again, I try and identify where are some other risks that we might have. I see some other hands up. Karen, do you want to ask or make a comment?
Yeah, real quick. Can fire withhold the final approval until the staff is trained?
That is something we will take into consideration, and yes, and they must be properly trained. That's a Buster regulation that we will follow. So that's a compliance issue from Buster, and we would most definitely follow that compliance issue. Yes. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Yes, thank you. I'll take
Okay.
my hand out. Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. Mr. Driehaus?
Yes, I appreciate all your time and effort here the last couple months. And mine's not really a question, but kind of a statement to follow up Sean. We have a sewer line that's still underneath the gas station, a storm sewer drain that runs down multiple city blocks through the backyards on Carnation, Pedretti, and West A Street. We're having continued incidents where there's reported leaking, or at least the smell of leaking. And we're kind of at the mercy of the gas station owner that this won't happen again. And is there any guarantee that this won't happen again? And if not, if there's no guarantee, what is the percentage chance that this could happen again? Because when it did happen, it caused over a month's worth of issues, real issues. So that's a hard question to ask. And I understand that, everybody's trying to get this thing right, but what guarantee do we have in the neighborhood that this won't happen again?
I think the only thing I can really say on that, I mean, there are no guarantees in life. But we try to.
Then what's the percentage chance that we have an event that had never happened in 28 years and we get slammed for a month with gasoline? I mean, and I'm sorry I'm being so, it just seems like this is happening nice and smooth all of a sudden. And we're going to rely on this gentleman who disabled his systems to act in good faith. This issue's already happened, and we're not putting in a foolproof system that I can see. So what guarantee do I have that the gentleman and the owner and the operators up at the corner will not let this happen again?
District Chief Caldwell, is that something you can respond, since you guys issue the
Sure, Mary Lynn. As you said, this particular incident has crushed the West Price Hill community. We get that. We totally get that. As a fire department, we see a lot of emergencies. In particular, just right around the corner from the gas station, we had a fire on Overlook. Beginning of this year, January, we had a fire, and that was the first fire fatality of the year. Many people do not know that. While this incident was going on, the fire department continued to try to protect the city as best we could and can. We wanted the goal to be 0 fatalities, and right around the corner from this gas station in the West Price Hill community was our first fatality this year. It shook us, and this incident, this leak, did the same thing. to us as well. So we take it very, very personal to be able to put this community back together. We can never, as a fire department, guarantee that a fire will not start, that a gas leak will not happen. However, we can mitigate and make sure that all protections are in place from a compliance standpoint. That's what we're doing with the gas station. We're ensuring that compliance is followed, and that there'll be training, and they'll have certificates, and that they'll completely follow Buster's regulations moving forward. And that's, as a fire department, we will do the follow up on make sure of that. As regards to the gas station being put back together, they've got the state of the art system being put in right now for the tanks, as far as the tank lines and dispensers. So that's a very comforting feeling that they did, that they actually went above and beyond and did that. That's a very comforting feeling for, at least for the fire department, to know that we have a backup. We like backup plans, and that's a backup. That's a good backup plan that they installed. We will be doing follow up with this gas station throughout. There's still investigations that will go on even after they open with Buster and the tier 1, tier 2 process as well. That continues on even after they open. So we'll be in touch with this gas station long after they open and continue throughout the months and weeks to come.
Well, I appreciate that input, and no, I respect all the work you've done. I mean, it's been fantastic. I'm just saying human error is what it is, and there's just a discomfort level knowing that this has happened and it could happen again. So we really want to make sure that we stay on top of the maintenance of the station.
And Mr. Treehouse, I completely understand, and this is something that we will absolutely make sure of, and we will do the follow up on, and we can, and we can find out when the community council meetings are, and even give you guys a follow up on how things are progressing and how they progress even afterwards. This is a particular gas station that's piqued our interest, and we want to make sure that we follow through with what we're supposed to be doing as a fire department through Buster's regulations and across the board. So this is something we will definitely follow. Make sure that there are people on site that are trained. Make sure the systems are operating, and obviously the underground system is up to date and modern. So we feel pretty comfortable in that system that they've put in place.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, District Chief. I think the next hand I'm going to call on Lanzalato.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Chief, I appreciate your confidence, but it's going to happen sometime, somewhere. Probably not this gas station. Maybe another one in West Price Hill. I would feel a lot better about all of this if I knew that if a leak of this sort happens on December 24th, 2021, that all of the constituents, all the organizations that have been involved in this response, rolling in over a couple-week period, that those entities will be on site and resolving the problem on the day the problem is discovered. That didn't happen in this case. I would hope it would happen next time when an incident of this sort happens. The other thing is, we know that there'll be an after action review, and Chief, you talked about sharing that with us at some point in time. So I hope that as part of your follow-up, we will see that in the not too distant future.
Yes, and that after action can kind of coincide with the follow-up, with the update of what's going on at the gas station, as well as after action, because I think that's important for the community. I look at it as part of the healing process, and making sure that we've been completely transparent throughout this process, and we even want to be completely transparent with how we move forward with the process, and ensuring that things are in place to help mitigate it as soon as we can mitigate it with all entities and as you said, constituents and working together in this. So we want to be transparent in that as well. And we've already talked to MSD about it with the after actions, and we'll document it and let the community see it and deliver it to you.
Thank you. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, it's actually for District Chief Caldwell. Since you brought up that fire on Overlook, I was curious. The fire hydrant immediately adjacent to that house was out of service when that fire occurred. What kind of impact did that have, if any?
As far as I know, it had no impact. We have multiple hydrants in that area. We've actually, the companies actually used the hydrant we were using to flow the gas station. They were able to use that hydrant. So they attached to that hydrant and came in, which is a block down from the house.
Right.
And then they have another hydrant a block down the other way from the house. So
Yeah.
it has minimum impact on what we do. That's why we have so many on the streets, just in case one's frozen or one's out of service. We have multiple out of service hydrants throughout the city. And that's why we go out and we check them and we make sure that they're operational. But we end up using that hydrant on the corner of West 8th and Overlook. We just pretty much disconnected the line that we had flowing the water and put our bigger supply line on it. And they were able to use another hydrant a block the opposite way of the home.
Right, I'm aware of where it's at. I walk that route every day, so
yeah,
it's very unfortunate. I know that they actually fixed it the day after the fire, which was kind of ironic. It had been red tagged or been tagged for well over a month at the time that it occurred. So I was just curious because it's very unfortunate what occurred, but I was just wondering. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, we keep track of our out of service hydrants. So at dispatch, we know which hydrant we can't use. So we have a plan coming in to use the next closest one. So we keep documentation on that daily.
Very good. Thank you.
Chief Caldwell.
Yes.
Just remind the viewers that we carry 500 gallons of water on each pumper. So we use tank water with that fire for the most part.
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you for that question. Laura Hamilton, do you have a question?
Yeah, so many speeches, and I don't want to be a person giving another speech. I raised my hand after my colleague Sean gave one. And with all due respect to him, I just want to make it clear for the record in this meeting, this guy has owned gas stations for as long as a decade, and ignorance of the law is no excuse. And while I do think Buster should and could do a better job and should be, in fact, participating in this meeting, which they've declined to do, I agree with him on that point. I want to make it clear for everyone listening that I don't think it's appropriate for us to somehow excuse this gas station owner of his responsibility for ignorance. If one of us breaks the law, ignorance of that law is not an excuse, and it certainly is not for someone who is maintaining something as dangerous as Mr. Singh is. So I wanted to address that. And since Chief Caldwell brought up my dear friend Matt, who died in that fire along with his pets over on Overlook, and the broken fire hydrant got brought up, I would like to ask him when the only fire hydrant on my street, which is also broken, which is located in front of 812 Pedretti, might be fixed, because we don't have another hydrant here. And I watched that fire and my friend died in that fire. So I'm curious as to when our hydrant might be fixed.
Unfortunately, Laura, I do not know the answer to that particular question. That is a waterworks issue. They come out and fix them. Oftentimes, our fire companies will put in paperwork and notate on the paperwork that it's a critical hydrant, meaning it needs to be fixed with urgency. I have no idea of what the paperwork looks like that the fire company put in. So that would be something I would have to check with the fire company and then with waterworks and the like. So I have no answer to that.
Okay, can I direct that question to Waterworks? If I call them, will they be able to answer that question?
I can't tell you that they will give you an answer to when they would fix it, but I absolutely direct you to the person that you can talk to that does go out and fix them.
Okay, well, if you wouldn't mind, sir, if you could check on that when you have time, there's no need to get back with me, but I'm making you aware that the fire hydrant in front of 812 Pedretti, which sits directly in line with Matt's fire hydrant that was broken, was red tagged about the same time and remains broken today. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Laura.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and Laura, again, you can probably just, again, for the sake of ensuring that Waterworks has that information, just contact their customer service. But I'm sure that District Chief is going to, has made a note of that. We'll try to get that to Waterworks as well. But I think you can absolutely call Waterworks as well, if, just again, for your own peace of mind too.
Redundancy is a good thing, and I love that. I will. Thank you.
Absolutely. Karen Ball, do you still have a question, or is your hand up from before?
Nope, I have a new question. Thank you.
Okay.
We have a meeting tomorrow evening, and I was wondering if anyone from this fire level is planning on being a participant in that meeting. And if so, we need to make sure we get connected with proper email addresses and such to make sure they're aware of the start time. And this will be discussed tomorrow, and I'm hoping that there will be a presence of fire to help navigate the questions that will come up.
So has fire, I know that fire department often goes to different community councils and stuff. Is there like a particular a fire specialist or district chief that does attend the West Price Hill Community Council?
Yeah, it would usually be our local fire companies because it's their communities. We allow the captains and the lieutenants to attend their own community councils. They would not have enough information to talk about this incident because it's being handled exclusively via the technical experts in this, and they would not have enough information. They have not been on the scene. They have not been privy to getting the information that we have through this incident. And they rotate. They're working every third day, so they haven't been up to speed on what's going on. So if you would like to have someone at your community council meeting, it would have to be via one of the three of us who have been taking care of this incident, Specialist Harden, Specialist Lang, and or myself.
I think that would be a good idea if one of you would agree to participate and vet any questions that come up from the general membership.
Can someone provide the time and platform that you guys are meeting with your community council?
Yeah, it's been a little challenging to find out how to get in touch with the specific people that are involved. So we'll work with Mary Lynn to get contact information for tomorrow evening. I don't know any other way to do it right now, but we'll just let all three of you know, and then you can decide amongst yourself who might be able to attend.
Karen,
I can get
have
you
an email address, I can send them the request.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. If there are no more questions, I don't see any more in the chat, and I don't see any more raised hands. I see Karen. Did you just raise your hand again, Karen?
I did not.
Okay, all right, still up. I'll lower it for you. There you go. So if there are no more questions, I think that wraps up what we were going to cover. As District Chief mentioned, there is no application for a operating permit, and they will certainly be carefully reviewing that and looking at the buster requirements as well as the capacity with regards to the training issue and stuff like that. I know that your community council meets again after tomorrow. Is it the 13th of April? Is that right, Karen or Sean?
That's correct.
Okay. So just, tentatively, I mean, we will plan on a meeting on April 12th unless there is a need to have one sooner. So
Thank you. That would be very helpful. I don't feel like we've gotten to a conclusion here yet. So
yeah,
great.
okay.
Thank
Yep. So that's what we'll plan on doing. Just, put that as a placeholder for April 12th but potentially if there is any new information or new activity, we may go ahead and bump that meeting up. If that makes sense.
Okay, well, I think we have a pretty good line of communication with folks, and hopefully we can get, at least 48 hours of notice before something happens.
Yes.
Not
Yes,
days.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely shoot for at least 48 hours of notice. Preferably a little bit more. We can certainly email the motion out. We'll also put it up on our website too. I see that question from Sean, so we can certainly do that. And again, thank you all for your questions. And please feel free to email any other questions that you might have. And we'll talk again on April 12th unless we happen to have new information and have a desire to meet sooner. So thank you very much.
Thank you all very much for continuing to stay involved.
Okay, thank you.